end, we all are loving Tasha's chips. I love the little hint of garlic, and then from the garlic salt. Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty good.
My name is Keela. I also enjoy Tasha's chips, and I like that they are a little undercooked, so you can fold them in half and eat it all.
How we can overcome those barriers to a certain extent.
Well, my question for my section focused on what is the English only laws and what are no child.
Like I know how to have a conversation with someone, but I don't know what we're talking about and what I'm saying. Like,
I was saying like inquire. We'd sing songs in other languages, German, French, Italian. And you learn about it a little bit, and it was gone. You never do it ever again.
Yeah.
Like, yay, German, thanks.
you're like, glad I learned it.
So, and it was really hard to give attention to those students that they need, because they need someone with them at all times. There's only one specialist at the high school.
Yeah.
And then also make sure that everybody else is doing what they're doing. So that's, she really appreciated us coming in and doing service learning, because we got to take those kids out by themselves and do, modernized assignments and everything like that. But I think it depends on the level of the student, where they're at. If they can speak some English, it'll be...
For me, is like teaching English to people who don't know English. And so I think once I hit like high school and I started doing foreign language, and like Spanish was like the language that I picked, I was in a similar situation where it would be like I could read and write, but speaking it is like something that I'm incapable of doing. And I think that is one thing that will help me moving forward, simply because I know how important it is necessary to be an adequate language, to adequately speak the language. And so that's definitely like my experience that will help me move forward in the future. And like we saw that a lot with like Yvonne, whatever her name is. Like the importance of like the speaking portion of it. So
I was trying to think, just because this is the first thing that comes to mind when I think about like influences in my teaching. Has just, I guess, come from, I've been involved in what I am teaching for so long that I get how I want to teach, and just the passion for the subject that I have. So,
Do you guys want to hear a fun anecdote?
Yeah.
Okay, it's actually not that fun. I'll tell you anyways. So, I had this teacher in high school. My high school also wasn't really diverse, and senior year you were required to take a contemporary Asians class, which was just kind of like a culture class and world geography and stuff. And I took it, and one day our teacher was giving a presentation on the Middle East and North Africa, and he was like, okay, I'm going to show these pictures, and I just want you to like think, what's the first thing that pops into your head when you see these? And one of the pictures was a woman in a hijab, and this guy in my class was like, he just shouted out, he was like, terrorist! And our teacher was like, haha, and just like moved on. And I like still remember that. That's why I was like, okay, I need to like fix this, because that is not okay.
Wow.
Yeah, and there were like people next to me. This one day we were talking about how how ISIS had 2 Jordanian pilots hostage, and this girl next to me was like, is Jordan a person?
Oh.
I was like, oh my god.
And she was like, where's the Indian Ocean?
Oh,
I was like, maybe next to this country called India. Just a thought.
there was someone that tried to look up Al Qaeda in the dictionary.
See, like
One
stuff like
time.
that is what made me like want to become a teacher, and like especially for ELL students.
Political
because-
awareness.
Yeah, because like they would come here and be even more confused than those people were about what was
That
going
makes
on.
sense.
You know, like oh my god, that was my story. That's what has influenced me.
What about you guys, Sarah and Tasha?
Do you want to go first?
I was trying to find my post real quick so I could like reference.
I can go.
Okay.
I think that I just, after reading this, it kind of opened my mind to how common it is to take your experiences, not even like in practicums, but like as far back as your experience in elementary school, and like use them for the rest of your life. Like they had examples of people that were teaching the way that they were taught, you know, with 20 years of experience, the way they were taught as third graders, which to me is like just a demonstration of how resistant we can be to change and different perspectives, and I think it can be a good thing because we have. I had great teachers. I had great elementary school teachers that I loved and that I felt cared about me. But I also came from a lot of privilege.
Yeah.
And,
I think it depends on these kids to just kind of get into a system. And like in my practicum right now, the teacher that I'm with has been teaching for 20 to 25 years. And she has her classroom very established, very routine. And the kids know that. So they know to sit down, be quiet, listen to her talk for however long, read a poem, answer questions.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. And so when I got to teach a lesson, because there was a substitute, I had them talk to people around them about their answers. I had them get in groups and talk. And no one participated because I think that obviously because they weren't used to something like that. They weren't used to being involved and engaged in the classroom. And it's because that's how they've been. That's what this generation of teachers is like. And so, I think that influences, just sitting in a practicum and writing down like, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. I think it has a huge. I think my stage manager, my stage manager, like my high school show, did that. She messaged me and she's like, Benny broke up with me. I'm like,
I know.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it's kind of like you'll be fine.
You'll be fine.
But you remember what it's like to be like 16.
And she came to rehearsal like wrapped in a blanket and she was just crying all day. She's like, I can't be there for the day. I'm like, that's fine. Go home. Go cry.
It's important
to
like remember what it's like. I feel like.
And I think that just connects really well to like woodring in general and the whole asset-based mindset and
tests. You know what I mean? Like, because you have to have that balance between
I agree.
meeting the tests and then meeting the kids' needs.
I kind of want to write that question down and save it because it connects really, really well to the end video.
Yeah, that's something I've also wondered. Like, how do you not teach so much to the test if that's like, if there's so much pressure on you to have your students pass this test or if the school isn't really funding, like, how do you do that? And I feel like it's kind of like just checking in with your students regularly and being like, hey guys, like, how are you feeling about what you're learning? Like, do you feel like this is something you would need in life? Like, can you connect this to other things you'll need? And if they're like, I honestly don't understand why we're learning this, and it's like, okay, maybe I should be teaching this because you're going to forget it in 5 days.
Well, and I think too, kind of, I've heard of some classrooms that spend a lot of time doing like what the kids want to learn, the students' needs, and then having like one day that's like, hey, I have to teach this. I got a lecture, but
you can also just be like, listen, guys, like we have tests coming up, and like I don't really want to teach towards the test, but I have to, or something. I don't know. It could be like
that can be dangerous because if you say you have to pretend like you're all for this, and that's pretty much like
That's true. You could be like, I don't know. I feel like reality checks are good. Like
I like reality checks.
There's this for my practicum last quarter. They were taking tests, and the teacher was so worried her students weren't going to pass because some of them were like multiple grade levels behind, and she said that they don't pass, they have to go to summer school. But they didn't know that, and so the students weren't like stressed out. They were like, yeah, whatever. I feel like they deserve to know that because
that's the scenario where you would bring parents in.
Yeah, be like, listen.
You would bring administrators in.
Yeah.
You would have your group sit down and be like,
what's up?
This is what are
and I
the
feel like
consequences of you not passing.
Yeah, I feel like that's important for people to know. Like,
when we grew up, like they told us that all the time in sophomores, juniors, like you need to pass this WASL or blah 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 in order to get in.
Yeah, and like it's stressful. It's stressful, but it's better than just like being ignorant, and being like, oh, I don't care.
But it's scary that we have sometimes, fear.
Is just
the driving force.
Yeah, it's also like I feel like that needs to be corrected too.
Yeah. And we can talk about that more because question 4 is, or the last question with Hakud.
I was gonna say something.
Yeah.
Thing. It went back to like just other ways of like balancing stuff. Like I heard of a classroom like Fridays they had like a box of things the students want to talk about. Okay, we're gonna spend an hour talking about video games because that's what we want to talk about today.
Yeah. And like I
just
also,
having something like that.
In my geology class, we took a quiz in the beginning of the quarter that was like, what do you want to learn about this quarter?
That's cool.
Yeah, and he was like, I really want to learn about streams now.
Salmon cycle.
No, I was like, I'm going to learn about like minerals. That sounds cool, like crystals and stuff. Then it was like, the first day, he was like, okay, so the atomic makeup of a crystal. I was like, oh. You lost me. I was like, why did I vote for this? I don't want to be here. But I feel like that's important. Like if you have like a free day, you can be like, so what do you guys want to learn about today? And it can still be relevant to what you're supposed to learn.
Yeah, I bet you could still tie like their needs and interests to
and it makes them feel like they have a
standards.
say, not like they're just sitting there listening to you blabber on about whatever.
But I feel like the other side of that too is sometimes they don't know. Like if I am teaching like an intro to theater class, a lot of the kids are just taking it because it's probably an easy A. So I'm like, oh, what do you want to learn about theater? And they're like, I know fuck nothing about theater. And so there's the kind of danger in that too, with they're like,
I feel like that's why you give them like preset options.
That's true.
You have this choice of 3 things. Like which one do you guys want to learn about?
and a little description.
I mean, I guess that's what's sort of nice about high school versus elementary school is that you get more of a choice.
Elementary school students also don't understand the wanting to learn and the tracking and the banking system and everything that they don't understand. They're like, oh yeah, school. But it isn't until I feel like end of middle school, beginning of high school that they kind of
You just
realize
have to make
what
everything
this system is
exciting.
like.
Well,
Yeah,
especially
you're
with
right,
like
too.
ELLs. Like, how would you make them
Sassy.
want to learn English? Especially if they're resenting it because they're like, this is new to me. I like Spanish and I know Spanish.
Sarah, nice hand.
Like what's
I think the first thing that comes to mind with that is like not being resistant to learning their language too, because I know we've all like had a conversation before about how, we feel